Welcome back to Frontline News. I'm Sasha Lee Hamilton. It's now time for Frontline Business. Calls have come for the government to review the rules governing the foreign exchange market. Opposition spokesman on finance, Mark Golding, is requesting that authorities assess what's happening on the ground, as some businesses are unable to access foreign currency.
The banks are telling them they don't have it. But when you look at what the banks are selling every day, they're selling with foreign exchange in large quantities. The question is, who is getting priority for the use of that foreign exchange and to purchase it? Who is making all the profits from trading in the foreign exchange? Super profits have been made over the last few months and years from trading foreign exchange. Are the rules, for example, that govern who can raise capital in US dollars and who can't? And the ones who can't are therefore forced to borrow or raise capital in Jamaican dollars, but they need the US, and they take that borrowed money, have to buy US with it to do what they have to do. Do those rules make sense? There's an important review that needs to be done.
He also expressed concern about the latest slide in the value of the Jamaican dollar.
We have seen it move since March, yet again, and this is the third time in 12 months. It has moved by over 8%, moving from approximately 125 to 1. Now it's up at 136 to 1 again in a few short weeks. Comrades, the Bank of Jamaica and the Minister of Finance need to take a proper look at the way in which the foreign exchange market is operating.
Mavis Bank Coffee Factory has been selected to anchor a $43 million project to introduce best farming practices in coffee production in the parishes of St. Andrew and St. Thomas. The project is expected to assist coffee farmers in increasing production from 30 boxes per acre to approximately 100 boxes per acre. Mavis Bank Coffee Factory will be investing roughly $13 million in the project, which will assist 14 small to medium-sized coffee farmers in upgrading their farms through plant nutrition, pest and soil management, weed control, drip irrigation, and satellite farming mechanisms. The remainder of the funds will be jointly financed by the Government of Jamaica World Bank through the Development Bank of Jamaica managed Jamaica Business Fund, JBF. A coffee best practice instruction manual will also be produced by Mavis Bank Coffee Factory as a guide to the farmers. U.S. stocks posted broad-based declines on Tuesday, led by tariff-sensitive industrial companies, as renewed worries over trade negotiations with China stoked global growth worries and kept investors away from risky assets. The Chinese vice premier will visit the United States this week for trade talks, playing down a sharp increase in tensions after U.S. President Donald Trump vowed to impose new tariffs. The CNN has more.
China's still sending its top trade official to Washington this week. Beijing said Tuesday Liu He would still head to DC on Thursday. That's after days of market turmoil and confusion over whether talks with the US would actually go ahead. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, one of Washington's leads in the talks, said on Monday he'd seen a, quote, erosion in commitments by China over the past week. Evidence China was backtracking may be what pushed US President Donald Trump to say he'd hike tariffs on Chinese goods this Friday. Trump tweeted Sunday he'd ramp up tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods, from 10% to 25%, because trade negotiations were going too slow. But Reuters' Michael Martina has been covering the story from Beijing and says some observers won't be surprised by the flare-up.
So both governments in recent weeks before Trump's latest remarks had been expressing optimism about the possibility of reaching a deal. In fact, if you talk to trade experts and even executives and companies involved in China-US trade, there's actually a fair amount of skepticism that any kind of long-lasting deal could be reached, basically because of the rigidity of US demands and because China's essentially unwillingness or inability to implement such reforms. Chinese trade experts say that recent positive economic indicators could mean that both sides have less incentive to quickly reach a deal. Whether or not that's actually the case, most people here in China believe that China is unlikely to fully respond to U.S. demands to essentially revamp its economic model. They suggest that it would be more disastrous politically for China's government to capitulate to the United States on these issues than it would be for it to face an economic downturn.
The trade conflict between the world's two biggest economies has cost each side billions of dollars in the past year, affecting industries from auto manufacturing to agriculture.
In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 3,770 points to close at over 400,000. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 57 stocks, of which 29 advanced, 19 declined, and 9 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 14 points to close at 3,015. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services, Barita Investments, Blue Power Group, Caribbean Cement, and Consolidated Bakeries. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments, Cargo Handlers, Caribbean Producers, General Accident Insurance, and Honeybun. Trading firm were MG Packaging and Paper, Carreras Limited, Dolphin Cove, Epley 7.50%, and G West Corporation. General Accident Insurance was the volume leader with more than 2 million units, followed by Supreme Ventures Limited with just over 812,000 units, and Wisynco Group with over 518,000 units. News in oil. Oil prices slipped nearly 2% on Tuesday, on track to fall to their lowest closing levels in over a month, as renewed doubts over a U.S.-China trade deal stoked concerns over global growth and on expectations that U.S. crude stockpiles could hit fresh 19-month highs. Brent futures were down $1.26 or 1.8% at $69.98 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell 99 cents or 1.6% to $61.26. And that's it for Frontline Business. Regional stories are up next.